So this is hip-hop producer Will Television, who asked, are you pro-Republican, or even more direct, are you now Republican, in response to my assertion that we really move away from the Democrats and expecting them to show up in a way that is actually oppositional. What this is indicative of is a very commonplace scenario, which is folks only thinking in a binary context as it relates to electoral politics. Now, I obviously can't blame this brother for his ignorance, because that is what the indoctrination of this nation has been. This concept that there's only the option of Republican and Democrat, and that ultimately, if you can't figure out anything in those two, then you're just stuck with what you got. But there are so many folks who are pushing the envelope and saying, no, there's got to be something better. Now, this brother then says, so what's the alternative? Genuinely asking, not trolling, please teach me to learn. One thing about me is, baby, if you want to learn, I'm going to teach you. In many other nations, there are multiple parties, okay? You don't simply have the option of Republican and Democrat. You have other parties that are falling along other levels of the spectrum versus it just being far right and kind of right. You have centrist, you have left, you have leftists, etc. Unfortunately, here in the United States, at present, we only have the Republican and Democrats. But I want to remind folks, this has not always been the case in this nation. We have had multiple parties in the past. But we're seeing candidates who are actually saying, you know what, we want to come harder and present something a little different. So one example of that is Zoran in New York, who is a member of the Democratic Socialists. And even though they do share some of the same things as the Democrats, they are decisively saying, we actually have policies that are very aligned with socialism. Unfortunately, we know that Democrats quite often are scared, shiver me timbers, over the words socialist and communist, because it is, of course, frowned upon in this nation that anyone should be expected to be helped and supported by the government they pay taxes to. It's nuts. Thankfully, though, we are seeing younger folks say we want to expand the concept of what the party system looks like, even though right now it is still binary. The truth is, though, we'll only expand if we begin actually expanding. And that begins with action, and it also begins with the people, that's you and me, supporting that action and saying we want more than just two options, while also identifying that this option right here isn't enough, which is exactly why we need more. Now, unfortunately for Will Television, he does not have the intellectual capabilities to expand to that point. And so he then responded, Amanda wants y'all to drink her Kool-Aid. Ha, ha, ha. FOH, I was a fan before this BS. Ha, ha, ha. Best laugh I had all day. You are a comedian. You can't teach everybody, because everybody can't be taught. So this is hip-hop producer Will Television, who asked, are you pro?
Well. Welcome to Let It Be Known, live from Savannah, Georgia, the site of the National Newspaper Publishers Association's annual summer conference.
And we're live and in person. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America. No, that's the other show.
No, we're in America.
Black America.
Good morning, Wakanda. We're in
Wakanda. There you go.
I constantly live in the state of Wakanda.
Okay,
so,
okay.
Everything is blackity black to me.
Well, hey, they got the new Black Panther coming out soon. I mean, they're working on it anyway.
Yes, Denzel Washington and
your boy's coming back. Did you hear?
Who?
This is a different movie though, right? Marvel. It's Marvel movie. Jonathan Majors got his role back.
Oh, good for you. That's great
yeah.
news. Redemption story.
Everybody's
not officially canceled, okay?
Everybody's not officially canceled.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
All right.
Well, just to go along with that video this morning, New York, and not just New York with Mandami, but we saw some interesting statistics. I know you love them.
I love them.
What is it? The registered independents and third-party voters.
That's right. Independent or just third-party, period. I think a lot of people are not looking to be independent, so to say, but they're looking for something else. But we know that it takes a lot to get an official third party on a ballot. So there has to be a lot of work if you want something else. So right now, our only options are independent and Green Party to officially really be a part of a national campaign on a ballot. It's a lot of work, but I love it. I know that Zoran Mandami A lot of his win was based upon young voters.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw AOC saying that, yeah, they had money, but we had the people.
AOC has a way of words.
Yeah. And I think that for me as a Black woman, when I look at what they did to Jasmine Crockett on the Hill and the Democratic Party, they just don't get it. They don't get it. 92% of Black women, showed up. Jasmine Crockett campaigned publicly in something that really only her colleagues could vote on, for that committee. Right. But she came in last. 92% of Black women, over 85% of Black men said what they wanted. And you guys did the Black woman like that. So everybody in Congress, we're watching you. When we're talking about the Democrats, we ain't even talking about Republicans, but we're sick and tired of you disregarding us. But when it comes to the polls, you want to come to our communities and show up.
Well, it says that new analysis of voter registration data as of 2025, 32% of registered voters across the dozens of states and territories with reported data chose not to affiliate with either Democrats or Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that saying, we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Fannie Lou Hamer, okay? Fannie Lou Hamer. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And of course, we know the Republicans are definitely not an option, right? They look at how they did the primary winner in New York, Mandami. I mean, Stephen Miller. All types of Republicans, white folks attacking him
in hard.
Yeah, and I just think it's ridiculous, and I think that we need to really figure out how we move forward. I hate this. Well, I don't want to say hate to say it, but AOC, I think that her and Bernie are onto something, and I didn't really support their ideology or theology of how they are addressing the nation. I think Amanda Seals hit it. I think socialists, we've been trained for it to be such a dirty word, but now, I mean, the young folks are for it.
They're all for it. And we'll see what happens. So now Mandami will go on to face Eric Adams.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I think New York is definitely sick of Eric Adams. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's the end of the road for him. And of course, he's independent right now.
He registered and he got out of this race because he might have been pushed out.
Yeah.
But I also think that this will be a test to see if Donald Trump and his clan are cheating, because we know that the conversation that's happening is that there were ballot boxes and ballot machines that were tampered with in the Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, election.
Yeah, we keep seeing that over and over again, hearing these stories about that. And look, I said it. I just know based on, well, I can't say I know, but I speculate based on even what Trump has said, what Elon Musk has said in the past couple months, something wasn't right.
Something wasn't right. And I think that we should watch how these state and municipal elections happen, because if Trump decides he wants to tamper with the election, I think New York will be the test to see.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of New York,
switching gears, the trial of Sean P. Diddy Combs has essentially come to an end when it comes to testimonies. Closing arguments is today. Something interesting happened though. They dropped 2 specific charges against him, and I got to look it up right quick to tell you exactly what those charges were. Specifically, attempted kidnapping, attempted arson, attempted kidnapping, attempted arson, and aiding and abetting sex trafficking. They dropped those 3 charges. Is that of any significance?
It's a huge significant development in the case, because I think that those charges, when you heard the testimony of Cassie and Jane Doe, it's like, well, they were a part of all the charges based upon the things that they said themselves. Right. They implemented themselves. So you have to drop those charges because they look like they should have been charged with that more than Diddy.
Or just as much.
Yeah, or just as much, because Diddy never really interacted with the agencies. All of the negotiations, the transfer of money, bringing the people in. That was all Cassie and Jane Doe and the other person.
Here's the scary part. And again, I don't want anybody to think we defended Diddy. Diddy's indefensible on a lot of things. But here's the scary part. So Diddy is a very wealthy man. He has people who work for him, folks who testified throughout the case, including his employees. They did some things that he had asked them to do, like buy baby oil, buy different secure
drugs,
and things of that nature. They got paid for it, I'm sure. They did it on their own time, is what the defense is arguing. So it's not a criminal enterprise. The scary thing is that for folks who have money, Diddy, first of all, let me just say it this way. Diddy cannot be the only wealthy or celebrity to have a staff set up, sex sessions, if you will, freak offs or whatever you want to call it. He can't be.
It definitely
this seems like if maybe a crime has been committed other than domestic violence. We'll see what the jury says, but it has to be much about embarrassing this man, but also the big thing, who got upset with Diddy enough to bring these specific charges over sex that was all consensual based on testimony.
It's been a long rumor that it was the alcohol companies that started this wheelhouse to roll because he pissed them off. And they always have a way of letting you knowing that we allowed you to be a billionaire. We allowed you to take up this space, and you tried to think that you were bigger than who you were. And they always, the white man in society always has a way of finding a way to put us in our place. But I think it was huge in the case that they decided the defense, Diddy decided not to call any witnesses. He just rested.
That's a risk.
It's a risk, but I think that it was a bold statement to
say you got nothing.
Yeah, you got nothing.
I got nothing to defend here.
Yeah, I'm not defending anything. Okay. I'm kinky. I'm a nasty man. Okay, but what I do in my bedroom is not a crime. Oh, in bathroom, it's not a crime. And like Stacey said, we're not defending what Diddy did to Cassie. If that was what he was in court for, then I think we all would say that Diddy is guilty. But I don't think that he's guilty of being a nasty freak.
Well, our social media correspondent, Totally Randy, brought up something yesterday. We were drinking some coffee in the morning, and she brought up Stockholm syndrome when it comes to the Cassie's, the Janes, and the other girlfriends. Do you think that may have played a part in this?
No, I think it was people make decisions. Life is full of choices. The Bible is about choices. Your choice, do you choose good? Do you choose evil? Do you choose lifestyle? Do you choose integrity? You know what I mean? Do you want to do it the hard way, the way that everybody else does it, or do you want to do the easy way? And I just honestly think, as a woman, that these women decided to do what he wanted to get what they wanted. And hey, if that's what you choose, that's your business, but it's not a crime.
They were talking about 16, 18-hour sessions. Good Lord.
Days. I saw 48, 72.
Congratulations, man. You good.
I really.
I mean, I try to go.
Okay. Anyway. But I think
I'm tapping out.
But I think, to your point, I'm gonna bypass that, and I think to your point, you brought up about the industry, and is he the only one? I mean, they call it Hollywood sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of tragic endings. Unfortunately, that lifestyle, it took Whitney Houston's life. It took Michael Jackson's life, who unfortunately yesterday was the anniversary of his death. We talked about Prince. So there is some fact to that cliche of, or that term, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Hollywood is a very dark place, and a lot of people do sell their souls to get that fame, to get that lifestyle.
They do, and folks have proven time and again that they're willing to do whatever. And again, it's no indictment on Cassie and the other women from my end. It's just facts. We know it's facts.
Right.
And one of the things that the defense has said, and they'll say it again today in their closing arguments, that they all did this of their own free will. Nobody was forced to do this. In fact, their own testimonies and their own statements, their text messages, their emails. You have Cassie and Jane saying, inviting what hotel nights is how they would frame it. And naturally, they knew that is what turned Diddy on and was going to make him happy.
Right.
So,
and if you look at just to that point, even if you think about it, everything was a choice and a decision that was made. Just like Cassie made the decision to ask Diddy for $30 million. That was the decision that she made. It was a decision that she made. I think it's all important to know that the decision she made, she was living at home with her mother, with her husband and her father, with her husband and her 2 kids. So every decision that was made was based upon something that you needed, right?
That's true.
And so all of these things play a factor. I think that Cassie is a victim as well as somebody who participated.
Well, the last thing I'll say is this, before we move on, is with the prosecution side, if they've made a mistake, one of the mistakes would have been, to me, not charging anyone else. You got a racketeering case. That means RICO. That means more than one. And again, we talked about this weeks ago, and I looked, and even with the evidence, I was looking for at least an unindicted co-conspirator. You don't have that. So how do you have RICO?
And I think, to your point, 3 charges dropped. And then we'll see. The closing arguments will be interesting to hear from the defense, because we've heard them cross-examine,
right?
But I think between their opening statements and their closing statements is the only time they're going to make that their case of Diddy's innocence. So it'll be interesting, because we didn't heard it. How many? Over 30 witnesses from the prosecution. Yeah. We didn't heard their spin.
Oh, one last thing. Do we make anything out of the nice exchange between Diddy and the judge? The judge asked him, "How you doing, sir?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm doing good. You did a great job, Judge."
To me, that's typical Diddy. You know what I'm saying? Diddy's like,
if I'm the prosecutor, I'd be like, objection.
Right. But it's almost like you can see Diddy like dancing in the video when he said that. Like, he's like, "I'm coming home. I'm coming home." Yeah. And all you people who tried to ignore and diss me and didn't put no money on my book, I'm coming home.
Oh, Lord. Well, I tell you who is going to have a hard time coming home, 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony. That situation now has taken a turn for the worse. A Texas grand jury has indicted him on first-degree murder charges, which means that this 17-year-old kid can get life in prison.
Yeah, but that's horrific. But I don't want to say good thing, but at least he won't face the death penalty. That was a big thing that came out yesterday, that he will not face the death penalty. So hopefully he'll get a good attorney, and that he will be able to be judged by his peers, meaning that he doesn't have like just 12 white jurors. Not to say that a black person won't convict him, but I think that's an important reason why.
They're in Texas, so you never know what that jury is going to look like.
Right, but hopefully that's why I was. Jury duty is so important, and it's something that we kind of bypass, but that is one of the ways that we can make sure that justice is served in our communities across the country, is if we participate in jury duty. Because a lot of the reasons why you have 12 white people in the box is because we don't really show up. We don't want to do it.
So with that too, though, the question becomes, where did the crime take place? Which jurisdiction? Who's in that jury pool? I remember talking to your former district attorney, Gil Garcetti, about O.J. Simpson. And the biggest mistake, we always think about the glove don't fit and all of that, and the racist cop, but the biggest mistake I contended, even with my interview with Gil Garcetti some years ago, your biggest mistake was moving that trial from Santa Monica to Los Angeles, because you got a whole different jury pool. You got the minorities that OJ needed in Los Angeles that you would never have had in Santa Monica. You would have had an all-white jury in Santa Monica, probably mostly comprised of white women. So the jury pool is really important. Bill Cosby, the first jury, they went down to Allegheny County, Pittsburgh, a lot of blacks. They got that jury, and it was a hung jury. Second jury came directly from Montgomery County, 90% white county. So it's important where Carmelo Anthony's jury pool is.
And what state is he in? What state?
That's Texas.
Yeah, Texas, yeah. Texas, yeah. It'll be interesting to see, but one that we definitely should track.
Oh, absolutely. Another thing that came up, you know, hate to give this person any type of light at all, but Candace Owens says that she regrets rallying her supporters to vote for Donald Trump. She says he's an embarrassment.
Good for her. You know what I'm saying? She has to do a little bit more work before, you know, I'm inviting her for some ribs, but
she ain't getting none of my ribs.
But I mean, I think that's
I'm not giving her a piece of coleslaw.
You know what? I think everybody has an opportunity for redemption. You know, I mean, you know, we're talking about a lot of redemption stories today, but I think, you know, I think that this is positive. I think this is good because what we're seeing is a lot of Republicans. Candace Owens, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's going off on Trump because of what he did in Iran. So I think this is a good thing, you know, even though you can't trust them.
No, because Marjorie Taylor Greene made money off that strike in Iran.
They're all making money, all of these lawmakers. And I'm talking about even Nancy Pelosi. Our system, our government system as a whole needs an overhaul, which takes us back to New York, because I think that is the direction that this young America is going to take us into a new era, fresh era. And now that they're seeing the ramifications of not participating, and when you vote the wrong way.
Well, Candace Owens is just not a person to even pay attention to.
Well, no, I think that we should pay attention to her now. If she is,
pay attention to Candace.
No, you should pay attention to Candace Owens, and it's not for us to pay attention.
Do you think she eats like greens and collard greens and ribs and stuff like that?
I do.
She get her hand messy a little bit. You think?
I do.
No,
I do. No, I think she may cut her pizza and her fried chicken.
Right.
She might
peanut butter and jelly with a fork.
Right. But I'm sure those are some of the things that she has shared with her white husband.
With her white, as Orange G would say, mayonnaise. He has a way with words. So we are, folks, here in Savannah, Georgia. Is the Black Press, the convention, Engaging Black America, Empowerment, Justice, and Prosperity. With us this week is Reverend Jamal Bryant, who will receive the Newsmaker of the Year award, and also Mark Moriel of the Urban League, who will receive a legacy award from the National Newspaper Publishers Association, among other things. We got panels. Totally Randy's on a panel.
That's
of
right.
What is it? Is it Gen Z or something?
Yes, Gen Z panel.
I don't know these Z's and X's and Y's and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm Gen X.
Okay.
You might be Gen X.
What?
Are you a baby boomer? You must be. Are you a baby boomer?
I think. Listen. No, that's the 50s, isn't it?
What year are you? What year are you born in?
68.
I think you're Gen X.
I'm Gen X.
Yeah, you're Gen X.
I didn't know I would be Gen anything.
He's on the.
I don't even like Gen.
He's on the high end. I'm on the low end. You know, I just made Gen X. Okay.
You gotta say that. He on the high end. I'm on the low end. Boy, I tell you, Black people, you can't take y'all nowhere.
No, but the good thing about it is you're talking about that that panel that Randy is on. I think that it's important for the generations to mix, and then we have these intergenerational conversations to advance the Black press into technology, into a digital space. And I think that being here in Savannah, I've been saying it and everybody's been teasing me, but I mean, I feel the ancestors.
Yeah, you did, like, you went and visited slaves or something like that.
Well, you can't visit slaves.
I mean, so what did you do then?
So a lot of there's a lot of plantations here in Savannah, Georgia. And yesterday we went to the opening, the
Chairman's reception.
the chairman's reception, and the location that it was at was the SCAD was actually a place where slaves went through and crossed through to get to the north. So
they escaped.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't the Underground Railroad.
Okay.
I asked that question, but all of the bricks that you saw were laid by slaves.
And they escaped.
Yeah, they were escaping. It wasn't the Underground, because I was like, well, was Harriet Tubman on them trains? I wanted to know. But she wasn't.
But she wasn't the only one that helped.
She wasn't the only one.
Revolt, right?
Yeah, she wasn't the only one. But I think it was very significant that the bricks that were laid, all the bricks that you saw, they were laid by slaves. There's a lot of plantations out here. And so it's just a really, symbolic place to be in, especially in the time that we're living in, and the way that this Trump Klan administration is operating. It just really takes you back to the ancestors and like, what would you do? What ancestors? What would you do?
So I always, when you say that and think about that, I always think about what Eddie Murphy once made a joke about.
What did he say?
Eddie Murphy said he could never have been a slave. He said the moment while you bail out, he said, I ain't bailing, his colorful language. Right. I'm not bailing. You bail out here yourself until they hit him with a whip.
Okay. Yeah. And our location, our hotel, shout out to the JW Marriott Savannah Plant District Hotel.
This is a nice hotel.
Very nice hotel, but we're also on the river. And so, when you look out at that river, I wonder like how many like slaves passed through that river to go to freedom. These are just things that I think about.
It's really, what's sad is that we even have a conversation that there was even slaves to begin with, right? It's sad that we have to, and we've never been repaired in any real way. Anyway, I don't even say real way. We've never been repaired for the damage done. And not only that, whereas others, again, the Holocaust was horrible. But there have been consistent efforts to repair the Jewish community.
Right.
There's been zero effort. Not only has there been zero effort to repair the Black community, but there has been constant pushback and blaming ourselves. They want to blame us for the oppression that we still in 2025 face.
Right. Promises kept, like 40 acres and a mule. And interestingly enough, where we're going today was where the idea and the promise of 40 acres and a mule. It was the promise and the documentation was here right in Savannah, Georgia. And so we're actually going to where the whole concept of reparations was introduced. And so I'm pretty sure we'll talk about that tomorrow as well, and capture some of those moments as we continue to talk about reparations and what's happening in California and HR 40 on Capitol Hill. Reparations is still something that Black folks are fighting for. So I'm really interested to see where 40 acres and a mule.
Well, this is also why, in a nutshell, why affirmative action, DE&I, and all that stuff was important for us. Just the idea of something to sort of, and we never had anything to level the playing field, but something to put us in the ballpark.
Right. And I think that was like the conversation of, okay, we want equality, but then it's like, well, we actually want equity. And I think that's the concept of the whole 40 acres and a mule. Like, give me, make it an even playing field for me. You know what I'm saying? Give me, I don't know. Do you know why the concept of the mule? What was the mule, to plow the 40 acres?
Yeah, exactly.
That was the mule was for?
I always thought it was just Spike Lee invented. No, it's to plow the field.
It's to plow the field? Yeah, okay. Yeah. But I'll take the 40 acres. I'll take the mule too. I'll take a cow instead, because at least I can milk it.
I ain't milking no cows.
I'll milk a cow.
Okay. Give me a horse. I'll ride a horse.
You're right.
You know, we have the Black Rodeo. One of our publishers is here who does the Black Rodeo every year, and he was saying how it gets bigger and bigger every year. That's Clovis Campbell, Arizona informant. Yeah. But I digress. I'm gonna give you a black fact. You want a black fact?
Sure.
I got one black fact for y'all today. One. And I'm gonna tell you why I got one. I was threatened so many times by two women in this room to only give one black fact. Black men, be careful when you're around two black women. So the black fact is, on this day in 1934, W.E.B. Du Bois resigned from his position at the NAACP in a disagreement over, guess what?
What?
Policy and racial strategy.
Right.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we talking strategy. We need to strategize today. We should have been strategizing. As you always say, the Trump plan administration. Where's the strategy, Niel? I was counting on people like you to come up with something.
I mean, I would really like to talk to leadership at the DNC, the Democratic National Party.
You haven't given up on them yet?
No, I haven't.
You keep talking bad about them.
But I talk bad about them, but I also try to work with them because right now there's not really an option of a party. Like, I know I could be an independent, but
you gotta stop playing for a losing team.
No. I love Mignon Moore. I love the For Color Girls who have considered politics, who are very much involved in the Democratic Party. I love, and support Jasmine Crockett. So there's a lot. The Congressional Black Caucus. There are things that are established within the Democratic Party. I just wish they would get it together.
Well, MB is asking, what do you think of Zoran Mamdani?
I like him. I mean, he's like a pleasant surprise, like a Barack Obama. Like, we wasn't expecting Barack Obama, and he came out of nowhere, and hope just sprang forth. The fresh
hope springs eternal.
And I think that that he represents the younger generation. And I think through him on Tuesday, the younger generation showed up and they spoke. And Barack Obama talks a lot. Him and Michelle Obama talked a lot. They put their hope in the future, the younger people. They're not even trying to talk to us. They're like, it's the young people that are going to change the tide of the way this country is rolling. And I think that it's starting in New York. I just think that we have to pay attention, close attention, to the election when it comes to the race between him and Mayor Adams, because that'll be the key to see if Donald Trump and Elon Musk are tampering. Democracy for real.
Yesterday we had a expert, Middle East expert from the Biden administration on a policy expert. You bailed on this yesterday, so I forgive you for that.
I was traveling.
Nonetheless, nonetheless, she sounded a little bit like you about how things are going to change. She said the people
are going to change it. Yeah. And it's going to take such a long time for us to, first of all, really find out how much Donald Trump has changed the inner workings of the White House. We know that he is national security right now.
Let me tell you something. The White House is a ghetto right now.
Yeah.
It's an absolute ghetto.
Yeah. I mean, he's putting a prison slab on the Rose Garden. I mean, anything that he can to disrupt our normalcy, he's doing it. I mean, so I think that it's going to take so much to clean up, but I think that it's possible. And it might be the person that comes in behind him will be able to start something fresh and new and into a democracy that we really want to see.
But the problem, and I saw you mentioned Obama, he was saying, and I know it was probably a previous thing he did, but it's been circulating about when his economy, how Trump inherited his economy the first time, and he was, he was 100% right. The problem is, and we saw it in the Biden 4 years, it took a lot more than 4 years. It would take a lot more than 4 years to clean up his previous 4 years. Imagine when these 4 years are up, the damage that's been done in these 6 months whoever comes behind him, they're going to spend every waking day for 4 years at least trying to just turn the ship around and put it in the right direction. They're not even going to be able to clean up half this stuff.
Well, I mean, I think that's true. But then on the flip side, when you think about it, look what Donald Trump was able to do in 6 months.
So I think that it's easy to tear something down, though.
But I think one thing that, you know, a broke clock is right twice a day.
Twice a day.
So one of the things that we could take away from Donald Trump is he understands the power of the Oval Office. And I think that a lot of the other presidents were just interested in respecting the office.
Right.
He pushed the limits of the office. So hopefully the person that comes in behind him will do the same thing, but for the right reason.
Yeah, because we never knew that executive orders had so much power and strength behind them.
And how you can ignore Congress.
And
how you
and the courts.
Yeah, you know. So hopefully the next president, that hopefully he's not worse than Donald Trump, because we don't know what's going to happen. But hopefully the next president will come in and say, hey, let's expand the Supreme Court. Hey, let's make some changes to the Supreme Court. And I'm not waiting for this or that. I understand one thing that I did learn from Trump and his clan is that there's more power to this office that has been utilized, and I'm going to utilize it.
All right. Well, folks, live from Savannah, Georgia, and we're going to be bringing you sights and sounds throughout the rest of this day and week. So stay tuned. I know you already mentioned one of the panels you're looking forward to. Anything else you looking forward to before we close out?
I want to go to a plantation, and I'm looking forward to going to see where the concept and the documents of 40 Acres and a Mule were presented.
There you have it. Greer, what you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to get something to eat right now.
Okay.
I am too.
You gotta eat. So we'll see you guys soon. Stay tuned for more Let It Be Known. Thanks for watching.